Hey, y'all. You ready to get this thing started? Isis Jones with you. I'm just over here just messing all the way up. Let me do this over again. I'm going to get this together, I promise you. Hope everybody is doing well. Isis Jones with you inside room 1420, stepping in for Money Monday. Wanted to give you all some motivation for Money Monday, especially those of you who are in the maybe, let's say, 35 to about maybe, let's say 65, just for shits and giggles. In that age range, if you are interested, I want to kind of give you a walkthrough on the importance of actually putting together a will, or better yet, having a discussion. I don't know how many of you are actually having to deal with your elder parents right now, or you're in a situation where you're having to kind of figure out what your estate is looking like. Do you have an estate? Are you leaving some things behind? There are different laws in different states about how you can actually leave stuff for folks. So I'm trying to figure out what the process is. And I looked up some things because I actually had to go through the process when my father was alive. Back before COVID, we got to sit down with a attorney, an estate planning attorney. Actually, I want to give a shout out to Sean Estep in St. Louis. He was my estate planner as far as attorney, and just a great guy and a great system. And one of probably the best decisions, wasn't cheap. And I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you when it comes to actually putting these things together. But I promise you, what's up, Mr. CJ? How you doing, sweetheart? It's Money Monday, and I'm trying to give y'all a little bit of information. I know some of y'all are going through it right now in the aspect of having to take care of loved ones. If you're a single mother, single fathers out there who are trying to make sure that your children are taken care of going into this next season of your life, financial planning, estate planning is important. I've seen so many different families get torn apart because of the inability of people actually having the conversation before a loved one actually is taken away. And I hate to see these things because it seems like so many of these issues could have been taken care of beforehand if, in fact, the family or the sisters or the brothers had actually had this conversation with the parent before this actually took place. So unfortunately and fortunately, I didn't have to go through that. I had, me, myself, and I. Look, exactly. That's the whole thing. I love it. I love contributing to GoFundMe accounts. I really do. But we shouldn't get to that point. And between insurance for single mothers and single fathers out there, and just parents in particular, if there's no health issues that you basically have, you should have some insurance on yourself to make sure that, your mother or your parents or your siblings or just strangers out here are having to take care of you and your kids. Not saying that we won't, because we are a village. But I read this article and I was going over the aspects of actually creating a will. Now, I don't know about you all. There have been some conversations about, well, if I just, write it down on a piece of paper, it should be good as me going to an attorney. Yes and no, depending on what state you're in. And even within writing it yourself and doing it yourself, there have to be specific things that are in order for that to be legalized and actually utilized in your death. So I want to make sure that you understand that there are ways that you can go about putting together a will that will hold up and that will take care of you and yours. Also, insurance. I got actually some information in the description about who you can get in contact. I love Sean Estep in St. Louis. Great law firm, and they helped me get through the process of taking care of my father. Now, for those of you who are going through elderly situations, POA, which is paternity of order, I think that's how I'm saying it right. POA, basically I had that done on my father so I could make decisions for him if something happened, in which it did. And he had dementia. So I had to go through the process of making sure that I could make decisions for him. Now, if you have siblings, please, if you have any type of, great relationship with a sibling, I know some parents don't like having this conversation because it's kind of like they feel like you're trying to kill them off, and I thoroughly understand that as well. But if you have these conversations beforehand, I promise you, when a loved one passes away, it will be 10 times as better One of the best things my father did for me as his child was basically put a ledger together that had all the information of where his bank accounts were, where he had property at, everything he could possibly think of that he wanted to basically give to me and pass on, he had written down. And that's what I'm saying. The POA is incredible because, again, it gives you the ability to actually make decisions for that loved one because we don't think about it. Say, for instance, you have a parent who is a diabetic and they go into a situation, into the hospital, they come into a comatose state. Who's going to make that decision? Now, just because, you and your sister had a conversation with Big Mama 3 weeks ago and she said that, she didn't want to be in this situation or that situation, that doesn't help. So if you have it in writing beforehand, that's one less thing you got to sit here and worry about. And you shouldn't wait until there is a partner or a parent or a loved one that's going through this situation, because that's the worst time to try to make this situation go. So if you plan beforehand, and I preach this, y'all, because I've seen so many different families, including my own, get mixed up because of money. And money makes you do strange things, especially when you've had great relationships in the past. And those things get turned around when a loved one basically leaves us, because now you automatically are speaking on that person's behalf. And unfortunately, what's up, DJ? What's up, Fortunately? How you doing, baby? I'm in here for Money Monday to kind of just dropping a couple jewels to think about as you move forward with your family members out there. I know there are some siblings. If you're in a good place with folks, please have that conversation, okay? I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of us. Even at my age, I'm in my 50s, and I'm trying to make sure that even with my trust, that, again, we created through an S-Step law firm in St. Louis, that I'm able to actually pass on some stuff to, my nieces and my nephews. But again, it's all on paper. It's all gone through the process of, going through the trust and going through learning all of these different processes. Now, of course, this is not something I'm happy about in the sense of just forking over money, but the investment that you make beforehand keeps you from going through hell when you're going through probate and everybody's arguing about what they deserve and what Big Mama or what Daddy would have left. No, you have it right there. You're not second guessing and you're not second changing your children, especially as parents. You want to keep, your kids from sitting here and going at each other. Make sure that you basically have everything lined up so everybody knows exactly what it is that they want. And be realistic about it. Sometimes, your child has a love, or both of your children have love for, for pianos and for music, and you have a Steinway. What you going to do? You going to sit here and split it up equally? They'll work like that. So make sure that you know who's going to what, know who your beneficiaries are, know who the person is who's going to execute, the executor of the will, who's going to sit here and make sure that your final wishes are executed. Because that's important too. You can do it. You can have an attorney. You can have a close family member. You can have someone that's outside the family, maybe a family friend. But someone that's going to, really adhere to your wishes and be, methodical about making sure that everybody gets the information. It can be an attorney if you just want to keep it neutral. But I advise you, if you don't want to have this conversation, play this video for your friends and your family and just let them know. It's better to have the conversation beforehand than to wait to the, do you recommend a trust or a will? You know what? I actually recommend both, because I think the will kind of helps to solidify the trust. And trust is usually when you have a certain amount of assets. So, say for instance, real estate or vehicles or things of that nature that you want to make sure that are all kind of taken care of under this one umbrella. And the trust basically does that. The will is just your final wishes on, again, who you want, what your stuff that you basically have and where you want it to basically go and how you want it to work once you pass away. And the trust just kind of is where the will basically sits inside of. So that's always an interesting place, and if you want to actually go between the two. But the will and the trust depends on what kind of assets you basically have. So again, today's Money Monday, and for me, I just want to make sure that people understand the importance of safeguarding yourself. For all the single mothers out there and single parents, I'm not even going to say single mothers because we have a lot of single fathers out there as well. Making sure that you have insurance, life insurance. If you are in good health condition, you should have life insurance. You should be making sure that, again, that your family's not responsible for putting you in the ground, or better yet, your kids are set up if something happens to you. And the thing about it is some of these insurance policies are only about, what, $25, if that, moving forward, that you can actually pay a month to contribute to it. And you got to think about that's how much you might sit there and spend, shoot the club, for some gas, or basically for something that like an ice cream cone, or, something you can contribute a little bit of money to that each month to actually safeguard yourself and get your kids straight if something happens to you. And one of the things about the wills too, and especially if you having children, know who you want to give your child to, and you know who's going to be responsible. I think that's frustrating too. It's kind of like, you want to have those conversations with people. And I know they're uncomfortable. I really do. It's because everybody wants to basically live forever. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Gina, when my girls in there will always sit there and tell you the trust is always better. Yes. And that holds everything basically together. But what I was saying earlier about, the handwritten wills and whatnot, you can do it, but again, it still has to adhere in most states to the same policies that a real will with an attorney would basically go under. You have your name, me being in sound mind, right? This, that, and the third. This is where I want it to basically go. And signing it, dating it, making sure that there's a witness to it. So it's one of those things as well. So I guess I'm saying all this for Money Mondays because, again, right. And that should be the case. And again, I think also cracking is that it also depends on what state you're in. That's what I found out after the fact. So be mindful of that as well. I'm not an attorney. I'm not into real estate. I'm not into law at all. But this is kind of what I've experienced in the aspect of working with my father's passing and going through probate and getting more information about the wills and how it kind of worked for us and how it made everything a little bit easier. But I am a really big proponent in the aspect of actually having insurance. Even now for myself, I don't have any dependents. I don't have any product like that. But if something happens, I want to make sure that I have money and able to kind of even borrow off of. It's actually a tool that you can use to get some things done around the house and to actually give yourself some liquidity. So that's something to think about as well. In the description, I also am going to be putting the information for my priority tax. A.K.A. is who I work with here in Birmingham, who does insurance as well. And she can get you some great quotes and get you some information about how that can work for you and for your family. So I'll put that in the information as well. But today was just Money Monday. Room 1420 is what I try to do every day of the week, give you something that pertains to something important. I love Money Mondays, New Music Tuesdays, Wellness Wednesdays, Relationship Thursdays, February. I love Fridays, and I'm trying to get consistent with that. And I thank you all for even trying to even tune in. The little piece that I had through Instagram and Facebook and and LinkedIn. If you see this afterwards, I want to say thank you out to Moxie Beauty. Speaking of Money Mondays, they are my sponsors for Room 1420. Great products. As you see, I've been rocking my fro for the last month. Woo! I promise you. No, I promise you, I got more coming to you, and I'm actually going to see if I can get Raquita on here to talk about the importance of insurance and how easy it is basically to get for you and your family. But I want to say thanks out to Moxie for keeping my fro. It looks dusty right now. I got some moisturizer in it. Anyway, point being again, thank them for taking care of this. If you get a chance, check out moxiebeauty.store. They're going to sit here and take care of your hair care needs. But tomorrow is New Music Tuesday, and I got some folks that are going to be coming in as far as new music from St. Louis. I got a new little bop that I like, and I'm going to share with you, as well as 2 other songs. But in the meantime, I want to thank y'all. In the description, I'm going to make sure I put the information for the attorney I used in St. Louis for estate planning. That is Sean Estes for Estep Law Firm. And my tax lady here in Birmingham, which is Priority Tax for Raquita Kemp. I'll put her information in there as well. But for Money Monday, just the importance of putting together estate planning, even if you don't have an estate, putting together a will so your family knows what your wishes are upon your passing on to glory. And then on top of that, if you're a single parent, to be able to safeguard your future, which means your children, okay, and knowing that they're going to be in a great place as well when you have these pieces into place. What's up, Jay Boogie? What you doing? But hey, y'all, I love y'all, and I will talk to y'all in a little bit. Thank you for being with me, and my hair's a whole hot mess. This is Relationship Thursday. Well, excuse me. Money Monday. I got you. Right here inside room 1420. Love y'all. Oh, Jesus.